Hey guys, Jackdaw here. With no time to waste, we have a tremendous news update on Dragon Age 4's current iteration known as Morrison, as many development secrets were revealed in BioWare's brand new hardcover book of stories and secrets from 25 years of game development. A lot of the questions that we've all been asking over the past few years finally have an answer, all thanks to this book. I will be delving into all of the next Dragon Age related content in this book. However, I wholeheartedly advise that you pick up this book for yourself because it is filled to the brim with insights, information, and behind the scenes reveals on every BioWare game to date. It's full of so many captivating, inspiring, and amazing stories that showcase BioWare's incredible journey over the past 25 years. In any regard, we've got a lot to get into, so leaving no stone unturned, we've got some updates regarding Dragon Age Morrison, the current rebooted project codename of the next Dragon Age game. Along with this amazing 80s retro-styled font of Morrison's codename that I'm totally going to use in future videos and thumbnails, we actually have a small plot synopsis on this working title. It reads as followed: Tevinter Bound, a sneak peek at the follow-up to Inquisition. As BioWare entered its 25th year, the Dragon Age team was hard at work on Morrison, the codename of the long-awaited follow-up to Dragon Age Inquisition. The game, helmed by executive producer Mark Darrah, will take players to Tevinter as events of Inquisition and Trespasser threaten to forever change Thedas. We're going to Tevinter. Of course, we already knew that based on Trespasser's ending, Tevinter Nights, and the developers already hinting that. But it is still very nice to hear that in a plot outline. In addition, the most interesting factor about the synopsis is that for the first time, BioWare have confirmed that Morrison is indeed the code name for the current Dragon Age project, which outrightly confirms that Jason Schreier's Kotaku article in 2019 on the past and present of Dragon Age carries merit and truth to it, meaning that we can indeed trust the entire contents of Jason's article. Regardless, sticking with the 80s retro theme, BioWare staff have themed shirts for the project, and they look absolutely amazing. Please, BioWare Gear Store, release these shirts one day, if at all possible. The designs are so good. The book then goes on to show very familiar concept art that was showcased within the Gamescom behind the scenes trailer. However, this time we have actual descriptions on a few of the concept pieces, providing more context into what they're portraying, so we don't need to spend another 40 minutes speculating about what these pieces could show. The underwater shot, which we assumed to be Isabella accompanied by what looks like Dorian with a sword, an undead, and a female dwarf, appears to showcase the Lords of Fortune, a newly introduced faction within Tevinter Nights. The synopsis says, "Where there's treasure, there's adventurers braving death to get it. The Lords of Fortune are always on the hunt for treasure wherever it may be." The next shot, which I speculated to be Tevinter's capital city, Minrathous, has a synopsis that says, "The glittering hubs of Thedas are beacons of civilization and bulwarks against the night." Following that, we have the mysterious Antivan Crow lady with this synopsis. The Antivan Crows have perfected theatrical assassinations. The Antivan Crows are celebrated for their mastery of stylish slaying. And then we have a most recognizable mural, one that many of us have spent way too long staring at, tinfoiling over its endless possibilities. The synopsis of The Dread Wolf Rises concept piece says, "One of Nick Thornborough's beautiful paintings showing an old friend with a shadowy threat." Following that, we have the Grand Necropolis concept piece with Novara's undead operating on a dragon. The synopsis says, "From their necropolis, the Morn watch guard Thedas from occult threats." And then we have, hold on, what's this? A new piece of concept art that we haven't talked about? Roll on the tinfoil, as it states, "The Deep Roads team with evils both new and old, known and unknowable." Now, I won't spend ages delving into a single piece of concept art, but we can see the Deep Roads with plenty of light coming through from the surface. It's a beautiful shot that I'm sure is building a mood for potential locations in the next game, of course reinforcing more Darkspawn and Blight plotlines. animals, but that's just a guess. The final concept art piece shown is one from the trailer. However, it's not cut off anymore. When it once looked like an evil Cetus, it now reveals something even more wicked than a sea dragon. A figure with multiple arms, red eyes, a curved headpiece holding a spear. Is this an ancient god, a Lovecraftian sea hybrid monster, or is it just a crazy idea thrown together by one of the concept artists? Because why not? The synopsis is most intriguing and provides further context for the next Dragon Age game. The evil gods have Thedas in their sights, and only heroes can stop them. The shadows of the past stir, and new heroes must rise to fight them. Now, there are many gods in Dragon Age. You've got the old gods, the elven gods, the Maker, the Titans, etc. And you could certainly consider each of them to be evil in their own ways. But on a whim, with the whole shadows of the past stir, I'm pretty sure this synopsis is referring to the elven gods, given Solas's scheme that will return the Evanurus to Thedas once more, if he is of course successful, or if they find another way to return. Taking my tinfoil hat off for the moment, this book expertly describes concept art stages relating to BioWare, and I need to touch on what exactly these pieces could mean going forward, because they most certainly could just be conceptual drawings without much context for the next game. The book quotes Dragon Age 2's development regarding concept art, saying, "In the early stages of any project, before the concept artists are aware of any writing, they like to just draw what they think cool story moments could be. It's not unusual for the team to be inspired by those drawings and fold them into the game as the project progresses." And even further than that, Matt Rhodes, who is the art director of the next Dragon Age, spoke a few words regarding Inquisition's conceptual stages. As multiple teams worked on their corners of Inquisition, lead concept artist Matt Rhodes spent weeks creating images to help solidify and drive a vision of what the game could be. "It was partly to encourage and remind myself of what the potential of this project could be," Matt says. "We all imagine the finished game. I want to get that on paper to remind everyone we are making something that could be pretty cool." So taking his word into account, while we're all so excited to see these amazing concept designs and imagery, and we love to correlate it all to the next game, remember that these designs are very early work, building a vision for that current project. They're just being used to represent what idealistically the developers would like the game to end up like, or what insane ideas the concept artists have for the game without any context of the actual story. So many of these ideas and designs won't turn out in the final project, but it's still very nice to see this work already very early on, just inspiring what direction Dragon Age 4 might go in. Moving on, we can put an end to a 5-year mystery. We finally have answers on that enigmatic red Wolf-Rook book that Mark Darrah has teased for a decade. One of my first ever videos on this channel was delving into the very early pages of this book. Back then, I had a hunch that this book was the next Dragon Age game's early concepts and designs, like a shiny development doc for the entire team, and I was on the right tracks. As followed, the book was an internal guide for developer and publisher eyes only that summarized the vision for Dragon Age Inquisition's follow-up, a project codenamed Joplin. The Joplin project has since been revised to such an extent that its codename changed to Morrison, but the red book still contains plenty of ideas likely to appear in the next Dragon Age. While most pages remain highly classified, here are a few Mark said we could publish. We have a page on the Qunari, and then we have a page on the creatures. There's a small description of the Qunari with some other concept shots. The paragraph reads as followed: "The Qunari are followers of a religious text of principles known as the Qun. Though Qunari may be of any race, most are part of a race of large humanoids with horns. For ages, the Qunari have proven a formidable opponent to the rest of Thedas, almost conquering the continent until a united force of every Chantry nation pushed them back into a tense stalemate. Recent events have reignited the Qunari offensive, however, and their forces are in open conflict with the Tevinter Imperium, while their spies and agents are active in every nation." And at the bottom, we have a creatures double spread page with different concepts very similar to those seen in Inquisition's art book. The paragraph reads as followed: "Animals, monsters, and misplaced magical experiments. Creatures stir apart from the conflicts and machinations flowing across the continent. Creatures range from the lowly nug to the ultimate apex predator, the dragon. The next Dragon Age will feature our widest and most varied sets of creatures to date. While often quite simple in implementation, creatures provide variety throughout differentiated animation and appearance. So Wolf-Rook is still relevant, somewhat confirming that the work that went into Joplin may cross over into Morrison, which is very exciting to hear as someone who has talked about Joplin and Morrison to death. Joplin's original vision for a Dragon Age title sounded amazing, so to hear the aspects of that work may pour into this new project is absolutely fabulous. And again, the fact that BioWare are acknowledging Joplin confirms that Jason Schreier's article does hold some truths. I've had a hunch for a while that this red book was still pretty valuable to the current project because we've seen a lot of Wolf-Rook teased this year. Mark Darrah has not stopped showing off his stash of red books, so I'm just very glad to see that it's here to stay for the current iteration, that not all of the work on Joplin has been scrapped. Next up, we have an update to a story I talked about in March of this year. Mark Darrah teased a picture of his laptop with the BioWare Slack server shown at the bottom of his screen. One of the channel titles within this server was one by the name of Dragon Age Week, and thanks to this book, we know what Dragon Age Week actually is. Dragon Age Week is a 5-day period during which members of the Dragon Age team can pursue creative projects that in some way benefit Dragon Age. The work done during Dragon Age Week and its erstwhile cousin Dragon Age Fridays sometimes found its way into releases. The Giants and Inquisition came out of a Dragon Age Week, executive producer Mark Darrah says. We also had a board game made that we were going to put into Inquisition, but we just didn't have time to. It's referenced it's a dwarven chess. So I do wonder what kind of ideas have come out of Dragon Age Week recently that have ended up in the next Dragon Age. Hopefully one day we'll actually have a new book that tells us Dragon Age 4's secrets, and then we can revisit this topic. And moving on to the final major update, thanks to this book, we have a greater understanding about the vision BioWare have going forward, according to General Manager Casey Hudson and Dragon Age Narrative Director John Epler. Casey Hudson spoke on the old BioWare and how they're changing past to a newer BioWare. We can't go back to where we've been, Casey Hudson says, now the studio's general manager. The way that we worked, all the stories and the crunch and eating pizza for 6 weeks straight and all that kind of stuff. As fun and memorable as it was at the time, those things won't work for where we're going. As BioWare grows, Casey says it must learn better ways to work while still embodying the values laid out by Doctors Ray Muzuzaka and Greg Zeshuk. It starts with the ones that were there at the very beginning, with Greg and Ray of humility and integrity, Casey says. Those are super important. Other pillars include a passion for excellence and courageous creativity. We used to exemplify this, not because we were courageous, but because we didn't know better. We would try things and fail and try something else until we got it right, and it was very experimental. But what can happen is, once you do know the consequences of failure, you can very easily start retreating. And at that point, it actually does take courage to put yourself out there and try something new. Casey says, we're not super young and experienced anymore. We do know better, but we still have to try and do some crazy stuff anyway. And then John Epler shared on the change going on within BioWare. I am excited for what the future holds. I think BioWare is changing. I think we're at a crossroads where we can either accept that and move into the new BioWare, or we can try to cling to the past. We have to be respectful of our origins without being constrained by them. It's an exciting time, and I'm really looking forward to what the next 5 years brings. I'm one of those people who is probably going to be here until they have to literally wheel my desiccated corpse out of the building, because I love working here and I love the people I work with, and I love getting to come into work every day to have long, detailed conversations about how Eluvians work. All in all, I'm incredibly excited and optimistic for BioWare's future. They're aware of their flaws while knowing what makes them great. They seek to humble themselves while changing direction. They want to avoid crunch while still being experimental. I think we're going to see BioWare bloom when they inevitably release the next Dragon Age, and I am totally here for that. Now, before I leave you, I do have a small little story to throw in here. Dragon Age Day is quickly approaching, and it seems BioWare do indeed have have plans this year. EA community manager Jay Ingram tweeted about fans asking questions for the Dragon Age team in prep for plans on Dragon Age Day. I'll link the tweet down below so you can ask as many questions as you would like, but it seems that BioWare may stream on Dragon Age Day, so do watch out for that and give them a follow on their Twitch, also linked down below so you don't miss a thing. Regardless, this is where we part ways. There was so much that this book uncovered. I highly recommend picking it up for yourself. It's truly worth it to any BioWare fan. There was also some future Mass Effect stuff in here, but I'm saving that for a future video that I'll do at the start of the new year. And I will most likely do future videos on other topics revealed in this book because there's so much in it. Let me know your thoughts down below on Morrison, on every little story we've talked about. Until the next one, like me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I've been Jackdaw, and I should go. Whoa, whoa.